Fuck it. Can't be asked.
What's your beef?
What's the point? We're sat here like fucking lemons waiting for someone to come in that hasn't even turned up.
I don't know. Maybe it's in traffic. I'll tell you what. Why don't you get the ball rolling? It starts off.
Hi. I'm Marcus. As you can already tell, I have anger issues. It all started a few years ago. My dad liked to drink. And this used to cause him and my mum to argue all the fucking time over the same shit that never got solved. I remember this one night. I was doing my same routine. I put my headphones in, I'd listen to music. The louder they got, the louder my music went. But this night was different. I heard screaming. I ran downstairs to see that my dad had punched my mum. That was it. I snapped. I pushed him over the dining table and broke his wrist. I blacked out for a second, but all I can remember was my mum holding me back so I couldn't do any more harm to him. Fucking dick. They kicked me out. They kicked me out for defending my own mother. Fucking stupid. So there I am. Homeless, jobless, scared and alone.
Inhale, exhale, I'm tired of it. I don't wanna breathe. I just wanna leave, or I'll be stuck here till my soul flies. Inhale, exhale, I'm tired of it. I don't wanna breathe. What's the point me being here? I just wanna leave. Can you show me to the painkiller? I've been searching for a painkiller. Can you show me to the painkiller? I've been looking for a painkiller. Overload. Overload. They want us to do as we're told. Distract us from the truth so we can lose as they grow. I put my life on the line, that's just to let you know. My head's spinning, it's overload. You might see me behaving crazy, you might see me behaving bold. Sometimes I wonder to myself what's going on, am I all on my own? Oh, I can feel it, something's going on around us, but we just can't see it. Too many lies and the truth is needed. You've been playing games, you are planning to destroy everything we have made. Everything we worked hard for, you leave it in the grave. Truth is I don't wanna fly in the air, the world I'm in's collapsing. Why am I here? I need a pain.
Until I met this girl. We hit it off, there and then. I felt like I could open up to her. And I could tell her about how my parents had abandoned me as a child. I could never come to to tell her the real reason about being kicked out. She let me live with her in a flat, so long as I helped pay rent and I got a job for it. We fell in love. I was finally happy. But there was always that thing in the back of my mind about how I'm an angry prick all of the fucking time. She used to do things. The littlest of things. Leave a plate out that wasn't washed. Change the TV over all the time. And it used to tick me off a little. I guess one night I just let it all build up. And then it combusted. I could picture myself clenching a fist and swinging for her. That was when I knew I had to get out of there. I couldn't let myself become my dad. I miss her. I haven't seen her again since. About a week ago, I got banned from a club for having a fight with the twat of a bouncer. He said I look too young to get in the club. I'm 20, not fucking 12. I can't blame him. He was only doing his job. Why was I such a dick to him? I look back at shit like that, and I think to myself, why do I get pissed off all the time? Why am I always angry? I guess I just need help.
I'll go next then. Okay, well, hi, I'm Bethany. I've never been to one of these before. I know it's supposed to help me. God knows I need it. My life is very complicated. I have this struggle. See, I was in the army.
Here we go.
I'm no different than anyone else. So many people served and I'm no different. But I have this internal struggle that eats away at me and makes me hurt myself and the people I love. I know we all have different problems, but we all face similar struggles. My life's a mess. It's complicated. There's these times when I just get set off. Just from that, you can tell what I've got. I live every day with PTSD. And I'm glad you know now. It'll make my story easier to understand. So when I left college, I went straight into my army medic training. And after a year, I passed top of my class. About 8 months after that, I was deployed to Afghanistan. So many things happen while you're on deployment. But about 2.5 years in, the worst possible thing happened. At 700 hours, we got a radio call that one of our new deployments of soldiers had been hit by an IED. They were all seriously injured, and we prepared for the worst. And the worst is what we got. It took a long 9 hours to stabilise them, but we couldn't relax. The decision had been made that we would pack up and move them to our home office base in central Afghanistan. It was a 2-day trip. Then it happened. At 500 hours the next morning, just as the sun was rising, our camp was hit by an RPG.
Well, what do you expect? You knew what you were getting yourself in for.
Oh, we're not here to judge anybody, are we? Let us speak.
I'll go on then. It was a disaster. Bodies strewn everywhere. Every single person that had been saved that day was lost. Every single one of them died. Bodies strewn everywhere. We scoured the rubble. Over 500 dead servicemen and women lay scattered there across what used to be our encampment. I began to think about how that could have been me. I was in the tent right next to the patients. It could have been me. And yes, I got hurt. 2nd-degree burns all along the back. My back Some scarring, little damage. Still get phantom pains sometimes. We lost so many people that day. It was horrendous. We found out the morning after that we'd lost our senior medic and one of my friends. Both of them lay dead. Sorry, it's quite hard to talk about. Anyway, it was horrific. Those grotesque images of just people led dead, and I just couldn't help but blame myself. It took a couple of months before people realised something was different about me. Although subtle, I was isolating myself, hiding. And my day-to-day life was so different. I was shy, quiet, well, more shy than normal. I'd find little corners to curl up and cry in and think about how that could have been me, to think of how ashamed I felt. When we went on missions, the sound of gunfire would set me off, and they did start to notice. I know they all thought it was stress, and I never told them anything different. I just never told them about the nightmares, about the terrors of what I'd seen. A couple of months after the incident, one of our maintenance vans got hit by an IED, just half a mile from our camp. We heard it go off, and no one was hurt, they were all fine, but we heard it go off. And the minute I heard it go off, I dropped to the ground taking cover. Deep inside I knew it was wrong. Deep inside, my brain had shut down, and it took about 30 seconds before I was pulled to my feet. People asked me if I was okay, but I was still shut down. I can remember how silly I felt, with all those people looking at me asking if I was okay. And my camp general saw it, and he made the decision that I'd be sent home, honourably discharged, of course. I'd done some great work, but I was going home. I felt ashamed. 4th generation army, and I'm being sent home because there's something wrong with me. That was about 2 years ago. When I got home, my parents, they were relieved. I knew they would be. Only daughter in the family, and I decided to follow in my father's footsteps. It was 18 months ago when I was diagnosed with PTSD. The person I saw when I left the army said mine was almost instantaneous, whereas others, sometimes it took a while. I remember feeling how my family would react, but they honestly didn't care. They were so supportive, and every time I'm around them, it's like having this big safety net around me, and I just feel so much better. I can feel my old self coming back, but then I'm alone, and it all just comes rushing back, all those emotions. And you're probably wondering why I don't just go and stay with my parents. But I've tried that, I honestly have, and the minute I get comfortable, that safety net snaps. But being alone helps. It helps me come to terms with what happened. It helps me stop being ashamed. That really, really helps. I met someone a few weeks ago, someone who also served, and who also suffers with PTSD. And I didn't feel alone. They introduced me to others like us, and we talked about our feelings and how we felt that if we pushed people away, we'd get better, but no, it just made us worse. They all got help from Help for Heroes. And when they talked about it, I knew I wanted that. For once, I wasn't scared to ask, and it's great. I have a fab counsellor, and she's really helping me through. She said I should come here. But there's some things that she can't stop. The nightmares. Those terrible nightmares that wake me up every night. I can just remember myself screaming and having the ringing going off in my ears because I'm remembering those explosions and the fire. I keep thinking, oh, I'm going to get better, but no, I'm not. Okay, imagine this. Imagine seeing someone you're close to, a colleague. Imagine seeing them die. Imagine hearing their last words meant for family. Seeing them take their last breath, holding their hand and holding back your own tears because you know you can't do anything. That's how horrible it is. That's how horrible those images are. Those images that I see every time I go to sleep. No, not even that. Every time I close my eyes. It's horrific. And the nightmares, they're exhausting. There are times where I fall asleep during the day and I wake up from another nightmare and I'm in cold sweats and I'm heaving from the pain I saw. And when I do have nightmares during the day, or I get triggered during the day, I can't function for the rest of that day. It all goes to pot. I can't cope. And I get triggered often, so often. It's the simplest things, like bonfire night. It's the worst. I have to lock every door, turn up the TV, just so I can't hear those loud bangs and cracks that remind me so much of the gunfire that I heard. The first time I got triggered, it was the simplest thing. Someone on my street had knocked my car and set off the alarm. And the first thing I did was duck and take cover. And I knew it was wrong. And then there was another time when my door had just been caught on the wind and it slammed shut, and I did exactly the same thing. It's horrible. and I can't function for the rest of that day once it happens. But I'm living with it. I'm coping. I have PTSD. It's my burden. But I'm really living with it. So thank you for listening.